Hello and welcome to Community Express. I'm Emery Hudson, filling in for Deanna and Rachel, who will return next episode. Today I'll speak with the president of Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz, Mark Davidson, in part 2 of our ongoing series about the Pogonip Trail proposal. Executive Director of the Downtown Association, Chip, will drop by for a State of the Downtown, and in our third segment, I'll be joined by Sentinel staff writer Donna Jones as we talk with the 2 candidates for the open Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors seat, Supervisor Tony Campos and Councilmember Greg Caput. I'm Emery Hudson, and this is Community Express. Our first guest today is here to continue our ongoing discussion about the proposed 1.5-mile trail in the Pogonip. Mark Davidson is the president of Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz and is a proponent of including bike access in the plans. Mark, first tell us about your organization and what you're working to accomplish.
Okay. Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz is a volunteer nonprofit educational organization that has about 400 members. We are advocating for the promotion of mountain biking in Santa Cruz County, including promotion of events and advocating for more legitimate access to mountain bikers on the area parks. Okay, and tell us about the plans for the viewers. What's going into the Pogonip and what is its purpose? So there was a 1.5-mile multi-use trail that was proposed by the city departments of Parks and Recreation, the police and fire department, primarily as a way of mitigating the current environmental degradation and because of the unauthorized camping and drug activity, selling and using that's currently occurring up in that park. About 150 acres of the eastern part of the Pogonip was closed in about August 2009 as a interim solution to this problem. However, it's turned into an ongoing problem, and it's really chewing up a lot of city resources in terms of law enforcement and fire. And so someone in the, I guess the police and parks department, they were discussing, and one of the things that they've noticed nationally is in these kind of areas that get taken over by blight, moving in legitimate use has a consequence of displacing the illegitimate use. And so they proposed this multi-use trail. And
so yeah, talk about the legitimate use of what this trail would be.
Right. So the proposal is to build a brand new 1.5-mile multi-use single-track trail. This is all a dirt trail. Should be about 3 to 4 feet wide.
Is this going through the middle of Pogonip, or? It's
more along the eastern border, paralleling the train tracks, but it'll be completely enclosed within the Pogonip bounds. And it will essentially go from, as a connector from Golf Club Road, just inside the Pogonip, all the way to the Yukon Trail, which is currently the only legitimate access for mountain bikes to get up to the university and to Wilder Ranch.
Now, we're also seeing some illegitimate use by mountain bikers in the area as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, but that's been like a historical. The fact of the matter is that mountain biking is definitely a very popular recreational activity and has been increasing in popularity in the past 20 years. There's a lot of Santa Cruz residents and visitors who are very passionate about the activity and engage in it. There's a lot of the local bike industry. So we've pretty much grown up around trails. The pace at which we can get authorized mountain biking trails hasn't kept up with the demand over the years. So we're getting a spillover of there's just too much of a demand for those type of trails, which is a lot faster than land managers can facilitate and allow legal mountain bike access.
Okay, so what would this proposed trail mean for the average Santa Cruz resident and for bikers, hikers, right, people who go into the Pogonip?
So for one thing, it provides a 1.5-mile recreational corridor and transportation corridor.
Because this connects downtown to...
Right. It connects essentially the Levee area and just past the Tannery Arts Center up to the campus. From a transportation point of view, it allows people to ride their bicycles while bypassing the west side, the traffic on King Street and Mission Street, to get up to campus. Very safe way of getting through. For recreationalists, it basically opens up the downtown area to all the great trails and open space up at the campus and Henry Cowell and Wilder Ranch. So it basically connects the levees, and you can see there could be some increased economic benefits. For example, increase in tourism revenue by allowing out-of-town guests to park downtown, start their rides at a coffee shop, end at a beer and burgers. But also it'll reduce the costs to city services so that there's not they don't have to respond so much to the issues that happen there all the time.
Well, I think it wouldn't necessarily get me on the trail with my road bike,
right.
But it's good to hear that multiple people would be able to use it. So hikers and bikers.
Hikers, bikers, leashed dog walkers, and equestrians.
Okay.
So this trail will be open to all users.
Okay. So let's talk about the different spaces that it's going to affect. It's going to connect to the Yukon Trail at near the top of the Pogonip.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And then it's also going to affect what the city has termed Heroin Hill.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the proposal is that this trail is going to be like an alignment of existing social trails that have been built up over the years through to the transients and the drug traffic. So there's a whole network of trails through that area. The project managers hope to reclaim some of those trails, and we can legitimize them, widen them, and repurpose those trails while decommissioning other spider-type trails out through there. The objective is that we are going straight through the area known as Heroin Hill to take that sanctuary away from them as a good area for in deep cover for their illegitimate activities. By moving in there with the trail, where families and mountain bikers and equestrians can recreate, the added activity is probably going to displace all those people who are currently there.
And what are some of the consequences of having all that drug use in that area specifically?
Well, the current consequences right now, it's a place that's remote enough from the town that it's inconvenient for fire and police safety services to get to. They'd have to go to Highway 9 and then hike up. And of course, up on the hill there, these transients and drug traffickers, they have the sort of strategic advantage of the higher ground, so they can see when people are coming. We've told by the police department that they can scatter people out there, but they're back within a few hours. So it's almost like they need constant monitoring. By taking that sanctuary out off the table of this criminal element, then it'll displace them to somewhere else in the city, and hopefully it'll be much easier for law enforcement to address these.
Now, we've seen encampments and homeless folks, also drug users along other trails, even within the city limits, such as down on Barson Street and the Flats,
okay.
And other places. What's to say they're not going to move just off the trails or a little bit deeper into the woods? Yeah,
well, that's always a concern about pushing them deeper into the woods. What we have noticed over the past 10 years with a lot of the trails in the area, including the existing the Yukon Trail, there was homeless camping and also drug activity at the place of the existing Yukon Trail. When about 9-10 years ago, when that trail was built, even the survey work had an effect of displacing that activity away from that area. So one thing we notice from recreationalists, from mountain bikers, we've noticed that where we have seen camps, they're very temporary. They go away almost immediately as soon as the bikers come up. I think these people, they just want their privacy. They don't want to come across, mountain bikers or recreationalists or anything like that because, we can turn them in. We have phones, we can call the police. And that's what we intend to do in the future once this trail is built, is to maintain a relationship with the city and public services, that we will monitor this situation and ensure that it won't come back.
So this will be safe for recreationalists?
Yeah, I think that the key point is that the multi-use and the mountain biking community really want to take an active role in the stewardship of this property. We have already committed to help construct the trail with volunteer labor. We're working with partners like the Santa Cruz County Horsemen's Association. They have a trail machine to help construct it. We're also, us and the local bike industry is committed to fundraising so that there are some hard costs for some bridges, and we're willing to raise the money to pay for those bridges. Once we do this, of course, we're going to be invested in this trail. So we will not want to see it go back to blight. Like, once we're in there as a recreational resource, we certainly do not want to yield it back to the criminal activity that currently takes it over right now.
Mm-hmm. And that criminal activity is having a deleterious effect on the city itself, right? I mean, it's threatened the city water supply.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting thing I noticed when rereading the Pogonip EIR, the whole process back in like 96 to 98. Was I noticed there was a letter of concern from Bill Kocher, the current water director. I think he's still the current water director, but one of the things he pointed out was his concerns with contamination, either siltation, chemical and biological runoff into Redwood Creek, which is basically the watershed that's around the Heroin Hill area. Now, this Redwood Creek, it's a tributary to the San Lorenzo River, which is about a half or a quarter mile above the Tate Street water inlet, which is where the city gets about 50% of our water. So think for a moment that, we really have to solve this issue, because this is truly an environmental concern in which there's an estimate about 20 to 30, according to the Santa Cruz Police Department, of permanent campers up on Heroin Hill area in the Redwood Creek watershed. And their urination and defecation, drug waste and bloody rags are getting into that watershed during the seasonal rains. So now that that's getting into the San Lorenzo River, we can look at, and that spills out to our beaches. So we got drug waste, we got and contamination potentially getting into our water supply. So this is like a public health issue.
Okay. So Mark, what's going to be the hardest part of getting this proposed trail actually built, and is this trail going to be accessible for mountain bikers, or is this just going to be a hiking trail in the end? Yeah,
well, we hope that it's well, we're really advocating for a multi-use trail. I don't think it's enough to just put in a hiking exclusive trail only. One of the things that I've noticed about the Pogonip Park is that it's 640 acres, and the northern part of the park, which is far from the Spring Street entrance, is very vacant. Like, there's not a lot of people out there, even though it's open to hikers and dog walkers. Mostly you get a trail runner every now and then. Opening it up to multi-use will allow mountain bikers to park in the downtown area, ride along the levee, and then hit the new multi-use trail to get to the Pogonip, the Yukon Trail, and then up through campus to Wilder. I anticipate that this is going to be a very, very popular trail. It's going to be used quite a lot by cyclists. I think the concern is if cyclists are not at the table, or the equestrian community, then none of the resources that we can bring to the table are going to be part of this. We're not going to volunteer, we're not going to raise money. We have no vested interest in doing this. We have other projects in the county that we can fund.
Well, I'm sure the executive director of the DTA, Chip, would like to see more traffic downtown, so we'll see how he is with that. Thank you very much for coming in, Mark.
Yeah.
And when we return, Chip from the DTA will join us, and we'll find out what's coming up in downtown Santa Cruz.
High school sports are back on television. We'll be covering all of our county schools, both boys and girls sports, all year long. It's on CTV, Comcast 25, Charter 71, and streaming on our website, communitytv.org. Every Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Root for your home team on CTV.
With me now is the Executive Director of the Santa Cruz Downtown Association, Chip. Chip, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Emery. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Well, so what do you have going on downtown? You're a busy boy.
It is indeed, as you know, we just finished our big gala. I'm saying that because when this airs, we will have just finished
and it went fantastically.
And I hear it went really well. The Downtown Association is celebrating its 50th year. It was founded in 1960, way back, amongst a number of business owners downtown got together and let's call ourselves an institute. So they did, and they formed the Downtown Association. That was 50 years ago today, and it's been a busy 50 years of floods, earthquakes, universities, all sorts of things. So we had a chance to kind of look back and look at what the downtown is and what we want it to be, and we had a little celebration, or will have a little celebration, truth be told. But this is also just the busy time of year. It's the holidays come up, which is a big time for retail and restaurants, and people coming downtown and rediscovering downtown.
You have some fun programs coming up. You'll be doing trick-or-treating.
We do. Halloween's coming up. Trick-or-treating, it's a big day. It's kind of Halloween's always a fun, interesting day because you get sort of the wide spectrum of fun starting in the early afternoon with the little kids coming down, and it's a really fun event. A lot of people come from around the county and here to come. Kids dress up and get free candy. Who doesn't like that?
What
right?
time does that start?
The trick-or-treating is advertised as 2 to 5. And the merchants get lots and lots and lots of candies. Some of them make it till 5, because there's a lot of kids come down, and then into the evening it gets crazier. And
so then, when the big kids come down, what's that going to look like for downtown this year?
It's going to be safe. It's always a big concern because a lot of people come here from all over for Halloween, and the city does a really admirable job of responding to the crowds that come down and bringing extra enforcement and trying to really get the message out that you're welcome to come down if you play fair and play by the rules. But the city has done a really good job in the past few years of managing a really arduous task of all the people coming downtown for Halloween, and a lot of people drinking and a lot of people getting a little crazy. So it's been managed well, and it seems like the last couple of years it's gotten a little more under control. So
right. So that people know what's it going to look like. The protection budget went up, right? We're still going to have the triple fine zone.
It's triple fine zone
signage and dual language this year?
Yeah, dual language signage again, and triple fine, and lots of enforcement police from all over the region coming to help out on that night. And just the idea is keep everybody safe and everybody behaving themselves. But it is an interesting night. We focus a lot on the evening and the mayhem that ensues. The event that is not organized by anyone but just organically happens with all the craziness. But it's really the afternoon, the day when the kids are out trick-or-treating is one of my favorite days downtown because you just get, families and fun kids, of all ages.
See you and your family downtown.
You probably will. Yeah. Well, you won't recognize me. I'm going as you this year.
Oh, wow. Well,
I was going to ask if I could borrow this suit.
Yeah, I might ask for your number then. So speaking of quality of life issues, what's going on with dogs downtown? We're seeing a lot of changes
in
a very good question. Downtown culture.
Sure, it's a very good question. As you probably remember a little while ago, we get a lot of calls about dogs from 2 different sides, and it's a very controversial and even, dare I say, emotional issue, that of dogs downtown and whether or not to allow dogs downtown. Dogs have been prohibited from Pacific Avenue in the side streets since 1971. And
you wouldn't know it by walking downtown.
It's true, and part of the reason that we brought this up as a to kind of inquire about it is a lot of people do bring their dogs downtown, and the enforcement has been mixed and inconsistent. Apparently, obviously service dogs are allowed. and exempt from that. And it seems like a lot of people were exploiting the service dog exemption and saying their dogs were service dogs, whether or not they weren't really requiring proof. So we were getting a lot of calls from visitors and merchants alike saying, we want to be able to bring our dogs downtown, and we were getting a lot of people saying, why are there so many dogs downtown if dogs are supposed to be illegal?
So what's going to be the future of people and their pets?
Cut to the chase here. I don't know. It's, we basically, we asked a lot of people. We talked to our membership about what they would like and would like to see. The majority of the businesses downtown said they would like to see dogs conditionally, like to have dogs allowed, but would like to have stronger leash laws, like to have pack laws, so you can't have more than a certain number of dogs, like to not have dogs after dark, not have, and creating some really strict rules, because basically now the people who are following the rules aren't bringing their dogs downtown, and you have a lot of people who are bringing their dogs downtown who aren't following the rules. So we wanted to just get clarity on that, and we brought it to City Council. Unfortunately, City Council, shortly after we brought it to, had a lot of things on their agenda that kind of took precedent over this.
How can people give their input on this issue? I mean, should they give it to you? Should they give it to the council?
I imagine when it comes, it will probably come up before council in the next year at some point, and I think probably going to council is the best idea. In the meantime, I will say, though, dogs are still not allowed downtown. There's a little misconception, and people are bringing their dogs downtown. Many of the merchants, like I said, really, our board recommended to City Council to retract the law, but the City Council hasn't put that on the agenda. So dogs are still prohibited downtown unless it's a licensed service dog on a leash.
And speaking about rules and rule breaking, we've seen a lot of contention at the downtown farmers market. What's the future of the farmers market?
The future's bright.
Is it going to stay in its current location?
There's no immediate plans to move it. I think it's, there was talk about the city looking to develop a parking garage there, but that's far enough in the future. The market is pretty secure there for a while, at least a few years, I expect. The market since the expansion has been phenomenal. It's been really fun to go down, and there's all sorts of. It's expanded in the farmers that are down there. There's a lot more prepared food. There's a little crafts aisle. The Veggie Valet is one of the very cool additions. Nash Dillon, who's the market manager, worked really hard to develop they've been busting at the seams for years and had to not only turn away vendors, but as you know from being down there, it's very cramped. So expanding to the full parking lot has really allowed to bring more and help the market work more on their mission of education and educating about organic agriculture in the area by having booths there with information. There's music there. They have different bands playing. It's just a fun event, and it looks like it's going to keep going even as the season is winding down. We're still getting more and more things added on.
So we can keep busting from the seams when we leave there. For years to come.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Cool.
It is. I don't know if you know this. It's the largest midweek market on the West Coast, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's great. It's keeps growing, and it's been wonderful to see it be able to really fill out. It's a jewel for downtown, I think.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other potential programs that has been proposed is the Imagine Positive Change program, right? Now, what's going on with that? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. What the Imagine Positive Change program, and you will most likely be seeing some of these meters that were in the news a while ago have been being fabricated and working out some of the details. They should be being installed coming up in the next month or so. The idea is, we talk a lot about issues downtown, and panhandling is one of the bigger issues that affects the community in a lot of different ways. And it's a very complex issue. It's a very complex issue for a lot of reasons. Everybody who's downtown panhandling has a different story. There are some people who, if they don't make a certain amount of money that day, they probably aren't going to eat that day. There's also people there honestly, who exploit the generosity of people down there. It's a very generous community. There's a lot of people want to help. It's human nature when you see somebody in need to want to help. And one of the things that we as an organization working with other community groups in the health service community and city government and the neighborhoods, looking at how do we address the panhandling issues, because panhandling affects the whole community in a lot of different ways. So, looking at a lot of examples of other communities, what we've developed is a program we're calling Imagine Positive Change, where it has two functions. One, it educates people about panhandling and provides an alternative if people want to.
So people put their coins in these machines, and then what happens to that?
Well, the money that's being collected, and I'll say that the machines are really more iconographic than a collection. They can only collect change, and change isn't really going to do much. But part of what they do is create an awareness of alternative ways to help people who are in need. There are a lot of services in the community that people are able to connect with if they have the right tools, the right resources. We have an outreach worker who works for the county mental health organization and is funded by the redevelopment agency in part. So the money that is collected would be used for the social worker to help connect people with services. Some people can't get into services because they don't have an ID. Mm-hmm. It costs $20 to get an ID. You're not going to do that panhandling. A lot of people who, most experts on panhandling, which I am certainly not on either side of the coin, as it were, agree that panhandling is not really a means for people to get out of their current situation. Mm-hmm. They can sustain the current situation, and when you give somebody money, you really don't know what you're supporting or how much that's going to help them or somebody else, or where that money is going to go. So the outreach worker has a relationship with all the people downtown and knows how to get people help if they want to get help.
Well, hopefully with this program, fewer people will be nickel and dime to death.
Well, I think the idea is if we can use some resources to help people one at a time, Great. Get people off the street, on a case-by-case level. It's not going to solve the panhandling issue, but it will give people an opportunity. I think there's a lot of people who would like to help and don't feel like giving money to a panhandler is necessarily helping. Right. So this is an alternative program. ImaginePositiveChange.org is the website.
Super.
There's some more information about that.
So looking farther into the future, you've got the holiday parade coming up.
Holiday parade, always a big favorite, then broadcast that here on community television. And it seems to grow each year. We have more entries, more people coming down. It's always the first Saturday in December, which is the 4th this mm-hmm. year. And something we're doing new this year, after the holiday parade downtown, the parade wraps up before noon, starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's a really fun parade. Kicks off, as usual, with the Santa Cruz High Regiment Cardinal Band. I'm getting their name wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. And the last thing in the parade is, what's that guy, the beard, red suit?
Me?
You.
Right.
You.
I can't grow a beard.
Oh, we'll get Santa. Santa comes down. But after the parade, there's going to be a whole bunch of activities going on throughout the downtown all day. Okay. Kind of open houses in a lot of the stores.
Hopefully Community TV will have our new production truck down there.
I'm excited about the truck. Yeah.
It's cool.
Is the truck going to be in the parade?
I don't think we can shoot it and run down Pacific Avenue at the same time.
It's more important to see the truck than to actually have the truck function.
That.
All right. But no, it's exciting. And the parade's fun. There's going to be a lot more. Snow Night, of course, is a big favorite. That's the 9th. It's the Thursday after the parade. I believe it's the 9th this year. And of course, that as many of our events are a benefit for Second Harvest Food. So people bring cans of food or money. Money goes a lot farther with those guys, and come play in the snow. It's a lot of fun. We got some surprises on Snow Night. So
super. Looking forward to it, Chip.
DowntownSantaCruz.com is where all of it is. And I'll say there's, we do, a few events throughout the year. The Downtown Association puts on events, but every day of the year, there's so much going on downtown, and we try and keep our website up to date with all the events at the Kumbwa, at the Catalyst, at the Actors Theater, at Bookshop Santa Cruz. There's just so much going on downtown, so you can just check it out on our website. It's all there.
Great. Plus you're downtown.
Plus I'm downtown, so
Well, thanks for stopping in, Chip. I know it was a long walk for you.
It's downtown.
Cool.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you.
Great. After the break, we'll be joined by the two candidates for the 4th District County Supervisor seat, Tony Campos and Greg Caput. You're watching Community Express.
Check out Community Television of Santa Cruz County for the best and most extensive local election coverage. From city councils to school, water, and fire boards, we've got your local candidates covered. For schedules and to watch programs, go to our website at communitytv.org. And don't forget to tune in Tuesday night, November 2nd, for live coverage of local election results. Which candidate are you voting for?
Welcome back to Community Express. I'm Emery Hudson.
And I'm Donna Jones.
Running for the open 4th District seat on the County Board of Supervisors is Greg Caput and Tony Campos. Greg Caput is a Watsonville City Council member who has made a name for himself supporting business and religious groups in his hometown. Tony Campos has represented Watsonville and parts of South Santa Cruz County on the Board of Supervisors for more than a decade. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I wonder if we can start today by you just very briefly telling us a little bit about your campaigns. Councilman, would you like to start?
I'll be glad to. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. It goes back to February, late February of this year, and I decided to go door to door. I've been knocking on this, up to close, I believe over 7,000 homes right now. Half of the people have been home, and then the other half that have answered the door been very receptive. They all have concerns, and I've met a lot of great people, and the campaign is going well. Of course, it's busy. You try to balance your life with the campaign and paying the bills that everybody else has to pay, like the mortgage and all the bills that we have when you have a family. But I've really enjoyed it, and I've met a lot of great people in the last 6 months.
Great. And Supervisor?
Well, the campaign's going very well. We have a large group of volunteers. We're going door to door. We don't have the luxury of going door to door every day because of the work schedule, but as soon as we get a chance, we're out there knocking on doors, talking to people. Been a very positive campaign. People have voiced their concerns. They've also thanked us for a lot of the programs that we put in place, and also some of our achievements. And so the interesting thing was that the people are really having a hard time. They're hurting. And it's sad because we've come from a time when we were really kind of prosperous to the point where now our people are hurting. And you can feel that in and when they're talking to you, and you can see it in the way they're living. So it's really a touching sight to be out there talking to these folks. It makes you want to just do more and try to help.
All right. Well, maybe we can just jump right into some of our questions. One of the big issues that has occurred in the South County area has been the Atkinson Lane project. The county is planning to build high-density, low-income housing off of Freedom Boulevard at Atkinson Lane. Supervisor, you were unable to vote on that project because of your real estate interests, and some people have criticized you for having to recuse yourself. Can you comment on that?
Yes, I'd be more than happy to. I take about 4,000 votes a year, either through the Board of Supervisors or to the different organizations that I belong to. And this is one of the few times I've had to, recuse myself from voting. And the rules are very stringent and very in line. If I have somebody that I know personally, or my sister, or I have a house or whatever, the rules state you can't even participate, you can't even be inside the room. So it is true that I couldn't vote on this. It is a state mandate. We lost a lawsuit to the state of California. I didn't agree with the way we lost. It put a burden on us. We had to go out and specifically put some parcels of land and zone them 20 units to the acre. And I think that's way too many. But that is something that we had to do. We know that Atkinson Lane cannot sustain 200 units. And it's 10 acres and it's 200 units that we're talking about. So for 10 acres of property, we rezoned 10 acres at 20 acres to the unit. The problem with that is that the circulation, which is very, very important in our county, the water, the streets, where are you going to put this traffic? There's really no way to put this traffic anyplace else but to Freedom Boulevard or make another street. And I will tell you, the only way this project will ever come or will move forward is probably if they make a new street. And that's going to be a problem because the county probably will not support building a new thoroughfare street from, say, Crestview all the way out to East Lake. It's not going to happen. By the time you take the street and take a 200-foot buffer, you're going to take a lot of farmland. And that's not even, we're not even thinking of going there, and we're not going there.
So
but
Tony,
this,
you might not be able to vote on this, but how many units would you support? What sort of a project would you like to see out there?
well, one of the things that I thought was good is that, and I did talk to different people, I've talked to the city, the state of California, the housing element, when we're doing the housing element, doesn't tell you you have to build them. We have to rezone them. It doesn't make sense, to be honest with you. And so what happened, the city of Watsonville in 2002 put together Measure U that designated different areas of Watsonville to be zoned for housing for farm workers, housing for low-income workers, and also housing for people that have little higher paying jobs. And this was passed by the voters of the people. City of Watsonville asked us to do this on the to rezone Atkinson Lane and so forth. So we did rezone Atkinson 20 units to the acre for 10 acres. That's 200 houses. Alongside of Atkinson, the city of Watsonville rezoned a lot of land that would probably accommodate maybe 1,000 units.
Tony, excuse me. The city of Watsonville, I know, is working with you on this project, but I don't recall them asking the county to.
No, it's been in the Measure U plan.
Right.
And when the proposal was being brought forward, it was all included. We didn't ask the city to join forces with us and come when we redid the joint.
But this was, you rezoned the thing to meet your housing element,
yes,
your state mandated housing element.
And just to bring up some information, our intention, and it's still the intention of the county, I don't think it's going to fly. There's a lawsuit. I don't think you're going to be able to meet some of the environmental aspects that are going to come up.
Okay.
And so there's going to be some major challenges, and those aren't going to fly. The important thing here, and I think this is the most important thing, is that I think the county will give the city an opportunity to annex it, and then they can downzone it any way they want. We just can't do it.
Councilman, I'd like you to comment on the Atkinson Lane project, but also you have pledged to support affordable housing for people making $25,000 or less. That's been one of your pledges.
Right.
So what kind
Actually, it's 45,000 or less.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. And so where would you support? Would you support high density housing, and where would you support it being built? Okay.
On the first part, on Atkinson Lane, I've been against it from the beginning because I believe, the county has always mentions the mandate, a mandate for so much affordable housing, and that's true. And but there's also a mandate whenever you have a plan that you have to have a good plan for schools, you have to have a good plan for traffic, public safety, water, and parks. And there's mandates on all of that from the state. And I think the frustration comes in Watsonville, especially the residents that live near Atkinson Lane, is that it will change their neighborhood tremendously. And we don't have all the other mandates, all the other ideas in place. So that, I believe it's a great example, actually, of a poor and flawed plan. If it was done correctly, then maybe it could be worked out. So the mandate for housing was put in, and where are people going to work? We already have a lot of vacant homes. We have people that have faced foreclosure, and they're in default. And then people are frustrated because it seems like Watsonville has always met its mandate for affordable housing, and the rest of the county is not.
So, Mr. Caput, of
sure.
course, Watsonville, as most cities in California, need more affordable housing. And I know that the city of Santa Cruz went through similar issues with the Delaware project in regards to transportation concerns by neighbors. So what would you say is the solution?
Well, the solution is, first of all, that we are the only city in the county that has met every housing mandate. And now we do have a glut in housing. But I did support a project for what's infill rather than urban sprawl, and that was for a 20-unit affordable housing unit off of Main Street in Watsonville. And that plan, even that one had opposition from people that lived in the area. But we were able to come through to a compromise with everybody because we had a lot of meetings and we heard their concerns. So I am for affordable housing. And Donna, you mentioned low-income housing. That didn't exist. The name was changed to affordable housing a few years back. And what happened was almost all of the affordable housing was going to people, and they had to make a minimum of $85,000 a year because it was based on an average. Our city council has changed that, and we've lowered it down to $45,000 to make it more affordable housing and more low-income housing, because the break was going to people making over $85,000 a year.
All right, Councilman, one of the other issues that you've raised is supervisors' pay. You'd like to cut the pay for supervisors.
Right.
Can you talk about why you want to do that, and what it is exactly your proposal?
I'll make it clear. Some people asked, "Oh, you can only do it for a year." No, I'm saying we have to show leadership by example. We're faced with an economic crisis, and people are being laid off from public jobs, and usually they're being laid off at the lower salary levels. I've always fought to protect those jobs. First of all, by taking a 25% cut from a $112,000 plus benefit job, you're still getting a decent wage, and you're showing everybody else that you're doing everything you can to save their job at the bottom, because they're looking at you real close. Somebody that's laid off that's making $45,000 a year can't pay for even the utility bill after they lose their job. If somebody's making $112,000 a year and we show them that we can take a break there, then we can still pay the mortgage, we can still pay for food and clothes for the family, and pay all the bills.
So, Councilman,
so that, and I also called for a cut in all the higher level top echelon jobs.
So you're talking about the county administrative officer and other
Yes, I am.
departmental heads?
Yeah. And that's not popular with them, but what I'm saying to them is the same thing. They can still pay their bills, and they're still showing leadership by example to everybody else. We're doing everything we can to save your job at the bottom and lower level. And I think it's wrong that the supervisors are voting on their own. They have the capability and the right to vote on their own pay raises. At the same time, they're cutting jobs for people that are working at the bottom levels. I don't think it's fair.
Supervisor Campos, would you be willing to make a pay cut, or take a pay cut, and extend that to your colleagues on the Board of Supervisors?
Let me tell you that one of the statements my colleague, my friend here, made earlier was that he was going to have all the Board of Supervisors cut their pay. And I'm not going to ask my Board of Supervisors to cut the pay because of the way I see them working. They're out there, they're putting in 12, 11 hours a day, working weekends. We probably most of us are on 8 or 9 commissions that we attend. There's a lot of work that's being done. Just Mr. Caput mentioned that we got to save how's it feel to lay off somebody who's making $45,000? Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I've done and one of the things we've done at the county is that we're not trying to lay off 45,000 people. We've actually gone back the last 3 years and negotiated with our rank and file. And this is working through the unions, making sure that we don't lay anybody off. This is going to pass, but we need to keep our workforce important. We have some people who work very, very hard. We negotiated 3 years ago, we were going to lay off about 300 some people. We didn't lay off that many people. We kept almost all of them. We did find other people jobs. 2 years ago, we did the same thing. This year alone, we've done the same thing. We've negotiated with the unions to keep these jobs. We're keeping these folks on the job, willing to work. It's important that they have a job. It's important that they have food on the table to feed their kids. And it's important that they have insurance. So if something happens, they're covered. And so all of us went in and we all gave in. We took furloughs. Even though we worked those furloughs, I'm talking about us. We worked those furloughs. And we need somebody that's going to know how to go out and get funding. We need to be able to do certain things.
So how much of a pay cut were we talking here, Tony? Was that 10% along with the
last year we took the furloughs and we didn't take a what do you call it? A COLA, and I think it brought us down to 102,000.
Mm-hmm. Plus benefits.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's a lot of the benefits we pay part too. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the levee project, because this is a big issue for the city of Watsonville that saw a flood not that long ago. Donna.
Yeah. As you know, since the 1995 flood that just devastated Pajaro, the risk of flooding has remained, and the levee project has been delayed many times. The issue now seems to be that the Army Corps of Engineers wants to have a much smaller project that would just protect Watsonville and Pajaro, mainly the residential areas. I know the county is more interested in a project that would protect the entire length of the Pajaro River so that the agriculture areas are protected as well. There's a cost difference. It's going to cost a lot more money, possibly not a match from the federal government. Supervisor, could you support a project that would only protect Watsonville and Pajaro?
No. I cannot do that.
Even if that would cost the county
even if it's going to delay this?
Let me just tell you a little. In 1995, I was mayor of Watsonville, and we were on the levees. I gave an order for evacuation voluntarily at 7 o'clock. That's for anybody that lived in the flood zone, volunteer. At 8:30, we called again and said, we're recommending that you leave. I finally gave a mandatory evacuation and ordered people moved out.
So you're really aware of how it could really affect the urban residents. So I guess the question is, if the South County cannot get a project that includes everybody, can you support a project that would just support the residential areas?
Well, we are going to get a project. The project that's in place now is not good, and let me tell you why. The project right now on the Pajaro River gives the city limits to the point where the Buddhist church is a levee of a 100-year protection. And it gives the Monterey County side a 100-year protection, but that levee goes all along San Juan Road, and it goes up towards about 4, maybe 3.5 miles out, and then it hits a mountain. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't do anything for the levees on Santa Cruz side. And a 100-year flood, which is 1 out of 4, a 100-year flood, the way it is, would give us about 9-10 inches of water throughout that whole area.
So you're worried about those communities?
Yeah, I'm trying to get there, and I know you want me to wrap it up fast. The problem I have is the system that's in place now to protect 100 years for the city in Pajaro would put us in the same area where there was 9 inches. They would give us 7 or 8 or 9 feet of water.
So what are some of the ramifications of this 100-year flood with the Army Corps plan?
The Army Corps, we've asked to reevaluate what they're doing. And the Army Corps is looking at a cost cutting. They didn't pay attention. We actually came with a plan that was approved in 2004.
Now, would this endanger the residents of the city of Watsonville?
No.
Okay.
We would not do anything, the county's not going to do anything to take away 100% for the city. What this will do, instead of no coverage in the unincorporated area and all our farmlands and the people who live in the rural area, what this would do, it gives us at least a 50-year, maybe a 25-year, if that's what we agree, to be able to protect that area. Because that's all part of Watsonville. You can't just protect one side. Bay Village is on that side where all the seniors live. The last thing we want to see a wall of 8 feet of water coming.
We're talking about some homes, farmland, wells.
Yeah. We're talking 120 agricultural farms.
Okay.
I mean, 120 agricultural wells.
And Mr. Kappa, I mean, this is your hometown. You've seen the ramifications yourself. Would you support an Army Corps plan, or is the county and the city going to need to come up with these millions of dollars to protect this farmland?
Well, first of all, the protection of Watsonville residents and Pajaro residents is the #1 concern. I know agriculture is very important. I'm well aware of that and the great things that they do for our community. But if there's going to be a flood, the primary emphasis has to be on the protection of the residents on both sides of the river. It's a lot cheaper for the government to come in later if there is a major flood, let's say a 100-year flood. If it's flooded farmland, it's a lot cheaper for the government to help the farmer than it is to help thousands of people that have become homeless. I do support a 100-foot widening of the river and making the levee stronger, and also they talk about the ring around Pajaro and a ring around Watsonville area to protect the residents. I go for that. Now the 100-foot, there's a problem with the farmers. Can that be negotiated? Probably, maybe it can.
So what's
they
your
would
position?
lose some
What
farmland.
would you like to see happen?
Well, I'd like to see something start immediately. I think people are very tired of just hearing talk, and it's not just, it's not Tony's fault. It's government officials and elected officials all going out there and talking about all these plans, and years have been going by and nothing has been done. And a lot of people, when I talked to them, when I knocked at their door, they go, now we're in a new flood zone. They expanded it, and I have to mandatorily pay $1,400 a year for flood insurance. I never had to pay it before, but now I have to pay it. For senior citizens especially, that's to a lot of them like 2 months worth of their Social Security. That doesn't include their homeowner's insurance.
Okay. Right.
So
Okay, let me touch a little bit on something.
All right, we only have a couple of minutes.
No,
so
I'll do it real
fast.
fast. One of the things that we have to be very careful with is that it's true that we're trying to protect some of the farmland, but that's not the whole story. The Corps of Engineers plan, and we've heard about plans that are flawed. It's flawed because it doesn't do anything to the existing levees. Mm-hmm. It leaves it the way it is. Gopher holes. We have to patch them up. One of the things that we did, and we got $10,600,000 from the water resource to come in and do a bench excavation. That took time, and I was part of that. Those trips to Washington, those trips to Sacramento, we did finally get it. The other thing that we received is that we talked millions and millions of dollars for what we're trying to do. The state of California, through John Leard, got a proposal, and it passed. And I don't remember what Senate bill or Assembly bill it was, but what it does, the state of California will pay Watsonville, Santa Cruz County, and Monterey County 50% of the cost that we're responsible for. Mm-hmm. So if it costs $20 million, it'll cost us 10 each. Mm-hmm. Or 5 each, I'm sorry.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And we only have another minute or two, so gentlemen, I want to give you each a little bit of time to wrap up. Mr. Caput, if you're elected, what are you going to do to make change?
Well, I believe we have to go in a different direction. We have to be very careful with taxpayers' money. They've lost confidence in our elected officials. They've seen money being wasted, and in their opinion, and they've seen wages and salaries at the top echelon go up. Now that we're faced with all these problems, I noticed that everybody's concerned about the same things, regardless of economic status and everything. They want public safety. They want good schools for their children. They want traffic where it moves and they can get from one place to the other. And they want a job.
Great.
And that's what we have to focus on.
And Tony?
Well, basically, the most important thing for people is they want public safety. It costs money. They want to have their health services. There's a lot of people that need health services. If you look at the people we serve, and the people we're mandated to help the people with the most need. We have to fund those. We have to fund fire. These are the most expensive things that we have to do. But one of the things that people need is that there's a lot of folks that have mental health problems. We have to help these folks. Young folks they get caught in probations. They break into someplace and they steal money. Those folks need mental health, and some need a way to get them trained to get a new job. That's why I started the vocational tech school, to be able to accommodate the training for all the kids and people that lose their jobs.
Great.
October 18th, 10 o'clock, groundbreaking.
Great. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Donna, for joining us. On the next episode of Community Express, we'll be wrapping up the election results for the November 2nd gubernatorial election, plus lots more local coverage. This has been Community Express.